Top 1580.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We just stand up and fight, walk into the night. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith. But we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when. But it's coming back again. Oh, yes, it is. It's late in the evening. Oh, God, it's time for you to return. Oh, Lord, me. I know.
Oh, yes, it is that time. Happy Monday to everyone. Dr. West and I count it all joy that we are together once again. So much to jump into today, Doc. I don't even know where to start, but I'm going to try my best. I want to draw attention to our audience to a fire that broke out at the Clayborn Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. This is especially important to the historic legacy of this institution and that church being very much a part of the civil rights movement. People could probably picture the I have a man sign or I am a man signs. Those signs were held by sanitation workers. We know that the last act that Dr. King sought to take was to be in Memphis with those sanitation workers. That church caught fire. The facility caught fire at about 1:30 a.m. this morning on Monday morning. Details are still coming in as to why it happened, but it is important to have this conversation about the Clayborn Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. And then there was a sit around. I don't know. It depends. Dr. West not going to analyze, but it was held by or hosted by, led by Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries of the House of Representatives and Senator Cory Booker. There were others that joined them, even some people that I highly respect. But they called this a sit-in. And so the historian in me is having a lot of trouble with calling something like that a sit-in. I call it a sit-around. That does not mean that they weren't trying to draw attention to something very important. But when you have power, you don't just sit around like they did. But you know, I want to jump our conversation, Doc. The doctor's in the house, y'all, and we want to know what is on his heart, his soul, and his mind on this day.
My dear sisters, always a blessing to start the week with joy. Started in conversation with you, very much so. But I know you've also heard that our dear brother William Barber has been arrested. They pushed out the press and they ensured that no pictures were taken. There was no video of it. And so I'm just hoping and praying that he and my dear brother, I think it's Jonathan Wilson Hargrove, they both wrote the wonderful book on white poverty.
Yes.
Black and white and brown and indigenous poor people together. But I'm just wondering how they are doing. And it's another sign of the increasing repression of the gangsters in the White House and of those who are supportive of this repression. And when it comes to Brother Barber, you know, he's a very, very special brother. There's no
yes, he is.
Comes to the poor people's campaign, he's the closest thing we have to Martin. Now, I've been critical of him when it comes to the genocide in Gaza, but that's something else.
That's right.
Commitment to fighting poverty, there's really nobody of his generation who has reached the standard and the level. And in that sense, he does have similarities to Brother Martin King at the end of his life. And I'm just wondering how he's doing. And it's really something that we need to keep close track of, because that's how you break the back of fear, is courageous, compassionate witness, fearless, loving witness. And that's exactly what they were doing. He was in the midst of praying. I saw a video that Brother Tavis sent me, where right at the last minute, right before he was finishing up his prayer, they just cleared out all the press and zoomed in on my brother. And I wish I could have been there with him. I didn't even know about it, even though I got a teacher today anyway. But we've got to be the connection between what's going on there and the kind of fire in his soul and in Brother Jonathan's soul and the other folk who are with him, and then the fire there in the temple in Memphis, and also the fire at the port in Iran. I mean, you got so many things going on with the attack at the port of Iran. Who did it? We're going to find out. We got to keep track of these things and make the connection. Be able to make a relation between what's going on when it comes to repression.
Yeah, that is very true, Doc. And that is exactly what this administration is trying to do. They're trying to stoke fear so that people don't stand up. And my God, yeah, everything you said about Dr. William Barber, that and then some, and to continue to carry that flame in the way that he is. And Doc, you have often said, I'm sure you recall, that as people are fighting back against neo-fascism, people are making sacrifices, and some of the people who are in the foreground, arrest. Unfortunately, hope not nobody gets killed, but all of those variables are something that people have to wrestle with as you stand up to this neo-fascist government. And Congress has totally abdicated its responsibility as a co-equal branch of government. They're not doing anything.
Right. I mean, when it comes to the justification of courage and cowardly, the Congress becomes exemplary of cowardice. They exemplify they exemplify the deference to in the White House. So that when you think of what Brother Barber and we got to remember, Barber is physically challenged.
Yes.
For a number of years, he got both canes, and he walked all the way from the courthouse to Congress with his canes, and I've marched with him on many, many, many occasions. We marched right here on 125th Street a number of years ago, and you got to be very, very intentional and deliberate in your walk, because he's got both of his canes helping him along. So we're going to find out exactly where he is, what is going on, whether he's all right, whether Brother Jonathan is all right, whether any of those folk who were arrested are all right. But at least the crucial lesson is breaking the back. You can't be scared, especially in the face of gangsters and bullets. You cannot be afraid. You can't allow them to dictate your behavior based on fear.
That's exactly right. And they're trying to do that. But thank God for people like Reverend Barber. Well, we will keep you guys updated if we get anything breaking before our hour is up for today. We will let you know, but we're going to keep you posted. Just prayers going up for Reverend Barber and Jonathan. I'm sure that the legal community, Doc, especially the civil rights portion of the legal community, will definitely come to Reverend Barber and Brother Jonathan's rescue, but this should have never happened. When we come forward, we'll continue this conversation. You are listening to Truth Time.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality, because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial, because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining, where you're praying for a miracle, and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community. And as a people, we've apologized for so much. But when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is, we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, so glad again. We count it all joy that you are here. Doc, before we came forward, we were talking about Dr. William Barber and Brother Jonathan being arrested and still trying to find out more information about that arrest. Is really quite troubling that there's not the type of information that we need right now. Another example of how this fascist government is comporting itself.
Absolutely. And that exclusion of the press is something that is, I think, fairly new. I mean, it's on a continuous press long, press and active for long, but they were right, at the of and right where all of the meanings and so forth, and so the idea of somehow the press not being able to capture any moment whatsoever in regard to how the police is treating Brother Wilson Hartgrove. See, that's what upsets me. I do believe in civil disobedience. I believe in protest, and there's no doubt when you engage in protest, you accept the consequences. You are arrested. You're doing it openly. You're doing it lovingly. You're doing it for the people, and you're willing to go to jail. But at the same time, we also know, especially when you look at how they're treating our precious immigrant folk here in such repressive ways, not even allowing a process, not even allowing a fair trial. You wonder then whether they're going to treat our dear brother fairly, going to treat our dear brothers and sisters justly. And we have no idea. We are completely in the dark at this moment. And I don't like it one bit. I must.
Yeah, I agree, Doc, too. And this kind of absolute power corrupting absolutely is not new. It's jarring because it's happening in the 21st century. And oftentimes we think that these types of behaviors are things of the past. But my God, are we being reminded on a daily basis that these are not just actions of the past? And Black people and our allies who have been with us through the generations, standing up for for justice and us to be treated equally in this country, they know a lot about how this government is comporting itself. That's local, federal, state, all levels of government comports itself when it came to those who are fighting for justice, especially the type of justice that would edify, lift, and change the conditions of Black people in this country. People being disappeared all the time, fired from their jobs all the time, threatened all the time, homes being broken into, just all the time, just living under fear and threat. Doc, this is unfortunately in the DNA of America. And I want people to forget it. This is happening under the Trump administration for this moment, but it has happened under several administrations, several local levels of government, several state levels of government throughout the founding of this nation.
But any nation that would allow for barbaric white supremacist slavery will do anything. Any pass an anti-identity law when Black people are every 2.5 50 years will do anything have a fiber of morality in it when it comes to those particular actions. I thank God we do have voices in the country of all colors, but voices in the country who will oppose that kind of immorality, that kind of barbarity. But it is chronic in the history, and we've seen it, continually manifest today. But also when it comes to policy, any nation that sponsors genocide and allow for 25,000 precious Palestinian babies to be killed in months and not say a mumbling word, what kind of moral authority would we have any expectations of? That's true for Biden as well as Trump. That's gangster activity on behalf of both parties.
That's right, Doc. Quite stunning. And then punish the people who do have the courage to speak up so that you stop others jailing students, writing in to create lists with these students on it so that these students can't get jobs when they come out of college. I mean, really, Doc, just trying to not even be in disagreement for this moment, which I don't know how one could disagree at this point that this is genocide, but there's still people out there, but to try to scar people for the rest of their lives. You got big money donors and interests threatening colleges and universities and making lists, out there saying they don't want the students who participated in, some of the student actions earlier this year to even find employment after college. I remember, I went, and I know you went to several too, but even at Case Western Reserve, and the students who participated, who were scheduled to graduate, had to host their own separate graduation, Doc, of which I was one of the speakers at their graduation. And even then, people came to protest against them drowning out these students' graduation just because they were standing up for human rights, misusing and misappropriating the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. through their speakers and things like that. And law enforcement did nothing. But had that been reversed, where it was those that were standing up for human rights and Palestinian rights and justice, had they been disrupting the other side, they would have been most likely arrested. It was just absolutely shocking to be. I called on people to come and make a circle, come up front, come close, everybody come in close so that you could hear. But I've seen some disturbing things. That by far was one of the most disturbing in that moment, that you would go out of your way to disrupt these young people and young adjacent people's graduation. Their counter, they had to have a separate graduation because that's how vilified they were, and all they were doing was standing up for humanity. That's all.
You see, by standing up for humanity, they are accused of being anti-Jewish, and by put that label on folk being Jewish or anti-Semitic, they try to evacuate the moral content of what you're doing. Now, do we believe in protecting Jewish brothers and sisters?
Absolutely.
Were there some anti-Jewish voices in the protest? Yes, there was.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that. All the speech that so many of us gave said quite explicitly, this movement has no room whatsoever for hatred against Jews or anything.
No.
Said it over and over and over again. That's never talked about. No.
It doesn't matter how many times we say it. It's so frustrating because most people on our side, we say that. And anybody that can justify anti-Jewish hatred, they not on our side. You know what I mean? But those two things go together, standing up for justice and security for both peoples. That's just how it has to be. But the other side, they never say the opposite, like we're saying, and we can say it ad nauseum, and still some of these talking heads, they never acknowledge it, ever.
Anti-Palestinian racism is the norm.
That's right, and acceptable. It's okay.
Right, because you got all of these Palestinian innocent folk getting killed. They don't want to say a mumbling word about that, but when the students then reject that and protest, they're viewed as being an anti-Semitic mob. That's the language that Netanyahu use and so many folk pick up on. And it's that way of trying to neutralize and render invisible the precious humanity of Palestinians. And of course, the genocide goes on. But I connect this to what Brother Barber's doing, because the invisibility of poor people in the United States and the invisibility of Black poor people, which is
Yes.
intense.
It's the same energy. It's the same force.
Morality, the same kind of moral blindness, the same kind of willful ignorance that Barbara and the others are calling into question. And I stand in solidarity with my dear brother, William Barber, and, Reverend Barber, and Reverend Jonathan Wilson Hargrove, and the others.
Yeah, amen. We definitely stand in solidarity with them. And so leading us to something else that we want to raise up today is the fire that broke out at Clayborn Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. That temple has been around in different iterations since the late 1800s, 1892 to be exact. It is a historic church in Tennessee. It was considered one of the epicenters of the civil rights movement. We know that one of the last actions that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was working on was to be with those striking sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee. Those historic, iconic signs, I am a man. There's a I am a man, a plaza near and around that temple, the temple's property. That those historic signs came out of that, Doc. And one of the things I haven't really shared publicly, but even when I was trying to create the logo for my organization, We Are Somebody, I drew upon that iconic design to create the logo for We Are Somebody. So without the Clayborn Temple, We Are Somebody by extension would not exist. It is something that we must look into. I want people to keep up with, and I'm sure, Brother Smiley, our network always does things like this for organizations and institutions like this. But as a community, I want folks to look at and pay attention to how they are raising money to rebuild that church. And it's been rebuilt several times. In 1999, it closed and fell into disrepair. But since then, it had reopened and it began to, a whole revitalization. And it was officially named a national treasure in 2018 by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Clayborn has come back to life with the promise of leveraging the stories of the past and to tell stories of our collective future. This is coming directly from their website. And here we are again. So 1999, they kind of endured something. And wow, here we are in 2025, them enduring the task of having to rebuild again.
Good God Almighty. As you know, I was just in Memphis a few weeks ago. There with the Nellum brothers out of South Carolina. We spent 3 magnificent days there at Lemoyne Owen College, historically Black college. We're at Mass High, the high school students, National Civil Rights Museum. 2 days, magnificent reflection, magnificent exaltation of the courage and sacrifice and service of precisely those sanitation workers, of precisely Martin King and James Lawson and Diane Nash and so many others who were willing to really give it all, to empty themselves and to be part of that movement. And we drove by that temple. We did. I just absolutely drove by Mason Temple too. But Memphis is a special place. Consequently, not just politics when it comes to blues, Bill Street.
Yeah, definitely that. Oh my God. I mean, I'm just stunned. I don't know why I should be. I mean, it's making me definitely have some of the thoughts about, what happened in the 60s, the the Birminghams, all of that kind of stuff, whether or not this kind of thing is rare in its ugly head. Again, we don't know at this moment what actually caused that fire. I shudder to think what could have caused it, but it goes without saying that somebody that understands our history and how our institutions have been destroyed, or the attempted destruction of our institutions over time, that misintent could certainly be one of those things. We don't know yet, but it definitely cropped up into my mind, Doc. I don't know. We don't know of this moment, but I'm definitely thinking that could be a possibility, unfortunately. And if our institutions hadn't been attacked so viciously over time, that would not be one of the thoughts that enter my head. But because of history, it is one of the thoughts that enter my head.
We shall find out, but we just got to be thoroughly fortified. That's the key. We can't be scared. We can't be fearful. We can't be intimidated. We got to keep moving forward. We got to raise our voices, speak our minds, lay bare our truth, and put our bodies on the line.
Yeah, we do. Like so many others before us have done that. And speaking of the sanitation workers, the symbolic nature, Doc, of what they were standing for and the connections even to our own time. When I think about the signs, I am a man, that means many things. When I think about it, I am a man, in my constitution, I am a man. So therefore pay me a living wage. Living wage was not the language of the time, but pay me a fair wage. I am a man. I have a family to take care of, people depending on me. I am a man. I am a pillar of my community. It reminded me very much of Sojourner Truth, Mother Sojourner Truth, "Ain't I a Woman" speech that she gave in Akron, Ohio in the 1800s. When we come forward, we are going to continue this riveting conversation. You are listening to Truth Time.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not jiving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Senator Cory Booker and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who are both Black, held a 12-hour sit-in at the U.S. Capitol to protest Republican budget cuts they say would cut aid programs and benefit billionaires. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is adding $46 million to expand affordable housing, creating 6,000 more units with support services. He's also boosting funding for a tenant protection program. Items loaned to D.C.'s National Museum of African American History are being returned after President Trump's order targeting divisive content. Reverend Amos Brown, who loaned items, called the move downright dishonest. He says the museum made the decision without any notice or discussion. And Bishop T.D. Jakes is stepping down from leading the Potter's House, passing it to his daughter, Sarah Jakes Roberts, and her husband. After a heart attack last year, Jakes will focus on running the T.D. Jakes Group and his foundation. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are in trouble. They need to beat Minnesota 3 straight times to avoid elimination in the NBA playoffs. The Lakers are down 3-1 after losing at Minnesota Sunday, 116-113. Lakers coach J.J. Redick confirmed that he does not have confidence in his bench, which was outscored Sunday 25-6. Redick played LeBron, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Dorian Finney-Smith the entire second half. The group might have worn down in the fourth quarter. The Lakers were outscored 32-19 in the quarter and made only 5 of 18 shots. LeBron and Doncic were combined 1 for 8 and 0 for 3 on three-pointers. LeBron still had a strong game with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, and 3 block shots. Doncic had 38 points and Hachimura dropped 23, but that wasn't enough. A must-win Game 5 for the Lakers is Wednesday in L.A. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
You really about to do it?
40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more. And it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580. This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back.
Yes, you are. So glad that you are. Doc, around this time, we always turn to some of our audience that are communicating live on our YouTube stream. We got Blessed Peacemaker. Good to be with my Truth Time family. Greetings all. Greetings to you, Blessed Peacemaker. B-Bell of Bad Dog Bullies. Good afternoon, good people. Another manic Monday, indeed. Limit exhaustion. Good morning, Dr. West. It is so frustrating to hear what they're doing to all kinds of protesters. And it is frustrating, Doc, really. Blessed Peacemaker, again, praying for Reverend Barber. YouTube removes comments about the genocide, by the way. We're not surprised about that. Limit exhaustion, the fact that they wouldn't allow the press to document what's going on. That is concerning. And it is, because the question becomes, like, what do they have to hide?
But what was that about the YouTube is hiding genocide or something like that?
Yeah, so Blessed Peacemaker is put out there that if you make a comment within the comments about genocide, that somehow is being tracked and removed from the YouTube comments.
Genocide Palestinians, it doesn't register. Is that what they saying?
That's pretty much what Blessed Peacemaker is saying.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That just means truth on Truth Time. That's all.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, I don't know this for myself, but I definitely don't doubt it, because the censorship is happening. I mean, we know this, and the algorithm can pick it up on this platform or any other. So there's something for us to definitely look out for. Limit exhaustion. I hope Reverend Barber is all right. So do we. Doc, we are working on the technical issues. Doc, our audience is picking up on some tech issues that we're having, especially with your sound. But we are working on that. Rest assured that we are. and limit exhaustion again. I'm so glad we have Dr. West's voice to speak the truth. I found KBLA through following Dr. West's presidential bid. If you would have been on the ballot in Oklahoma, I would have voted for you.
God bless them. That's when we in it together. But can you hear me all right now, though, sister?
Yeah, we can hear you, Doctor. You are going in and out at times. So, but yeah, we can hear you. It's going in and out for some reason today. We will work on that, and hopefully, if we don't get it solved today, hopefully it will be better when we see you tomorrow, God's willing. Good afternoon, Senator Turner and Dr. West. Please stay strong. It's not easy. No, it is not. Terrence Allen Duncan. Good afternoon, leaders. Two things. How do we get Citizens United overturned and implement term limits enforced in DC? Two really good questions, Doc. You want to go for it? I have some thoughts, but I'm going to yield to you.
Got the entrenched conservative views on the court, so they're not going to touch the issue. And in Congress itself, we've talked about how cowardly and milquetoast they are, so they don't want to touch the issue. We can have people out in the street, but all of us out in the street, we've been out there many, many times. Some of us went to jail fighting against that particular decision. But it has to translate into some kind of institutional power, or it will remain. So we have to keep talking about how wrong it is, how immoral it is, and hope that we can reach a point where we can get enough institutional capacity to follow through. But it's a wonderful question. And of course, it's one of the reasons why we find ourselves in the situation that we do. We got big money buying politicians that don't want to speak to the issues that are affecting the masses of people. So the masses of people don't even participate. 90 million don't even vote at all. They've given up.
They're the largest voting bloc, those who said, I'm not participating. If they were a party, they would be the largest party. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Brother Terrence Allen Duncan, for that question. Again, how do we get Citizens United overturned and implement term limits enforced in DC? So the limits by which a president can serve in the Congress is set by the Constitution itself. We would need a whole constitutional convention, and the states would have to weigh in on that. I can guarantee you that many who hold those seats and hope to hold those seats would fight vigorously against term limits. And I think in some ways, Doc, term limits are a double-edged sword. While I don't believe that the framers, in all their imperfection, necessarily could envision the type of political situation that we're in now, where people are doing this until the grave, basically. You know, I think they really thought people would get in and get out, but that didn't happen. And then secondly, the immense power that people amass, you know, it's kind of hard. It's seductive. I don't think people are really going to try to give that up. So we need a constitutional convention to deal with term limits, at least on the federal level of government. Each state has its own set of term limits. So I want to put that out there, and local level of government too, that is not impacted by the United States Constitution. And in terms of Citizens United, just amen what Dr. West said, there are ways to overturn it. The fastest and quickest way would be for the Congress to do it, because the Supreme Court said that money is speech. The United States Congress could introduce legislation and pass it in both chambers and have it signed by the president to go the opposite direction. So the ball is in the court of the Congress. That's one way. And then the other way that Dr. West brought up was through the courts. People filing lawsuits and trying to get a judgment through the courts to find something that they can hold on to. Both of those in this environment, highly unlikely, but we just giving it to you, giving you the facts on that, Doc. That's quite something. Brother Morris Phillips, hey, lying has been normalized in our public discourse. It really has been.
No doubt about that. When you reach the point where big money is speech and big truths are to be repressed, how can democracy move forward in that situation? That's the foundation of the society right there. That's what.
Wait, we gotta say that one more time. So big money is speech, and big truths are
repressed.
Are to be repressed. Y'all better go and take that. Y'all better take that and run with it. That's something, Doc. Wow. Well, thank you all. We'll try to get back to some comments if we can, but we definitely appreciate you participating in this way with us. So, Doc, I want to go back to Clayborn Temple and what's going on there. Again, want to encourage people, if they can, to visit the website and to really help them to get an understanding about what's going on. I mean, that community is devastated by this. But I'm confident, Doc, like they have in the past, that they could come back. So the historic Clayborn Temple, which is located in downtown Memphis, Doc, you shared with us that you actually went by there. It had landmark ties, as we know, to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the civil rights movement in general. And it was the location where those I Am a Man signs were created. So if you have never seen those signs, if you don't necessarily have a clue as to what Dr. West and myself are making reference to, please look it up. Go look at it. Just piercing. It's very simple message, Doc, but strong.
Very.
Yeah. So the reports are that the fire about 1:30 a.m. on today, which is Monday, everything ablaze. The firefighters got in there. Thank God for firefighters. You might not need them. You want them there. You don't never want to need them, but you definitely want them on call. Now, Clayborn Temple was the launching point for a march for sanitation workers, as Dr. West and I mentioned earlier, that brought Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Memphis in 1968. The iconic I Am a Man signs used for that march were printed there. And the church had I believe they called it the I Am a Man Plaza was there as well. And so Dr. King, as the story goes, was supposed to join those workers in marching, but he was assassinated before he had the opportunity to do that. He was assassinated on April the 4th. That march was supposed to take place, I believe, Doc, on April the 8th. It was after, but he was assassinated on April the 4th. And lifting up Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who did go there to continue the work that her husband was going to do. I mean, how mighty is she that through that pain, she went into Memphis to literally take up the cross, of her husband, as she had been side by side with him for it the whole time. But to do that in those moments of grief, I don't even know how she did it, Doc, but she did that. When we come forward, we're going to hear directly from Dr. Cornel West about her taking up the cross, about Clayborn. You are listening to Truth Time.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least likely to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
no warrant, no key, my privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say you Yeah, we all got right.
Hey, we all got rights.
Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
It most certainly will rise again, no matter how countervailing forces fight to try to keep truth wrestled to the ground. It does not stay, Doc, ever. It never, ever stays. It always fights its way back to the top. So, Doc, as we were coming forward, we were talking about the Clayborn fire at the temple in Memphis, Tennessee, the connection to the civil rights movement, very strong connection to the civil rights movement, and also the sanitation workers' protest, and how even after her husband, her beloved husband, was assassinated, that Mrs. Coretta Scott King carried on the mantle to stand in for her husband on April the 8th, shortly after he was assassinated.
That kind of courage is just in a class of its own. Can you imagine wrestling with that depth and scope of grief and still at the same time being willing to stand up and march with the very workers that under the same death threats that her husband had already fallen prey to with the vicious attacks and killing and murder and assassination of him? I think Sister Coretta Scott King, she's beyond category. She really is. And that was 68. Remained like that year after year, decade after decade. Can you imagine what she would be saying if she was here? But she would make the connection of U.S. activity in Africa using various colonial elites to gain access to resources and minerals and subjugating the people, and the genocide in Gaza, and what's going on in the White House with Barbara, and the invisibility of poor people and black people, and the attack on the unions, and the attack on other vulnerable people. She had that kind of analysis.
Yeah.
Bernice, I think, her beloved daughter, who's head King Center, that she does stand in her own way in the great tradition of her precious parents. I saw Martin Luther King Jr. III was marching in Boston this weekend, commemorating another 60 years with Martin marching. So you see the kids out there doing their thing.
Yeah. It's in them. I don't know if they could shake it if they wanted to. But they're definitely carrying on the legacy of their parents. Doc, speaking of legacy, so Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, and Senator Cory Booker, they held a 12-hour sit-in against GOP funding plan. I'm smiling because I'm trying to keep from cussing. Really, I mean, surely. Maybe they could have called it something else. I don't just want to come down on the action itself. But I wish, and I'm not the only one, I wish that they had not called it a sit-in because of the historic sensibilities of sit-ins when it comes to the Black activist tradition. That sit-ins got people hurt, got them killed, spat upon, hot water, hot coffee thrown on them, beaten within an inch of their lives. Sit-ins were sacrifices for Black folks. And this little gathering, and that's why I call it a sit around, because that's exactly what it was. According to the reports, they held it in protest, but anyway, let me just go on and report this, Doc, and you just weigh in. Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker held a sit-in and protest and discussion. Okay, I said I wasn't going to commentate. Discussion for more than 12 hours on Sunday on the steps of the U.S. Capitol in opposition to Republican proposed budget plan. This particular reporting that I'm pulling is coming from The Guardian, which The Guardian has been stellar and really reporting news in a way that other people don't report. But Doc, I don't know. Is it just me? I mean, was that a sit-in or a sit-around?
No, historically, a sit-in is one in which you actually put your life on the line. And a sit gathering is when you bring different people together with some signs and hope that the press shows up and reflect on why you're there. And it's fine that they doing what they're doing. Cory did his 25-hour talk, didn't say too much about mass incarceration in Gaza, but he raised some other important issues. Good to see Hakeem doing his thing. They working together. One Jersey, one from New York. I saw the kind of banter that was going on. They were talking about one side of the Hudson and the other side of the Hudson, and what Brother Biden said to Brother Booker in terms of writing a speech and so forth and so on. I said, well, okay, just be human about it. So I'm not coming down on it, but you want to make sure you get your categories right. And that's what I think what you're concerned about. You see, a sit-in is you are in grave danger. A sit-around is qualitatively different.
Speak on it, Doc. Get me straightened out. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we continue, we'll continue talking about this sit-around.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-246-1923. That's 800-246-1923. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-246-1923 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Beautiful indeed to have love and truth meet. On top of that beauty, to have you all here with us today. So this sit around, Doc, you know, this conversation, critical conversation with the American people, again, that conversation in and of itself is a beautiful thing. Glad they decided to have the conversation. I do, however, wish that they would have decided to have this conversation a long time ago, and then maybe, just maybe, no promises, but just maybe, we would not have to lament a second term, President Trump 2.0, if they were willing and had the courage, the intestinal fortitude, or the ovarian audacity before the 2024 presidential election cycle to have critical conversations with America. I mean, I think we could have had a critical conversation about wages, a critical conversation about the fact that people have to work, 5 jobs or more just to string some stuff together to try to live, and that's no life at all. A critical conversation about healthcare, a critical conversation about how much prescription drugs cost, a critical conversation about the unhoused community. I mean, like, there were ample points in time before this trying to push back against a reckless GOP budget, no doubt about it. But they could have headed this off, Doc, I think, by having a critical conversation well before 2024. But maybe they did have that critical conversation and I missed it.
Oh no, you didn't miss nothing. You didn't miss nothing. They were kowtowing to Biden. They were kowtowing to their own leadership and not willing to speak with the kind of power about the plight of poor people that would have been critical of Biden. Biden's not moving fast enough. Okay, he's got an industrial project that's going to generate effects 5 or 10 years from now. No, people were hungry now. People were dying now. People unemployed now. People underemployed now. The decrepit schools are in place now. Those are the things that the Democratic Party missed out on. And it helped facilitate this gangster in the White House. And they don't want to take responsibility for that at all.
None. And definitely President Trump is responsible ultimately for his actions. Let the doc and I underline it, bold it, put it in a message in a bottle. He is responsible for his actions and or reactions. No doubt about it. There's a however, critical conversations could have been held a long time ago, Dr. Wesson. Thank you for being on the front lines even before you ran for president. But part of your run for president was about having those critical conversations.
We'll never allow any people to feel as if they have been rendered invisible or abandoned. And that's true in South Central, it's true in Gaza, it's true in Sudan, it's true in Brazil, it's true in Iran, it's true with Muslims in China, across the board. That's how we roll. That's what unapologetically commit and in solidarity.
Yes, we are, unapologetically. Well, Dr. Wesson, I thank you so much. We want you to live in your purpose, live on purpose, and remember this: titles are good, but purpose is better. Until next time.
KBLA 1587.
She ain't anywhere. America, America, God shed His grace on you. America, America, keep the children free. Freedom, love, joy. Jimmy nothing, never went to school. They made him pledge allegiance. He said it wasn't cool. Nothing made Jimmy proud. Now Jimmy lives on a mushroom cloud. America, America, God shed His grace on you. America, America, keep the children free. America, America, God shed His grace on you. America, America, keep the children free.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It has been an amazing week. 100 days of Donald Trump is something fairly extraordinary. I'm having a little bit of feedback here. Let me turn this microphone down. And I'm so grateful for all of our listeners who are listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show today. My very special guests are part of America's drama at this hour. The drama, Donald Trump in the African American Museum of History. Last week, it was ruled that Donald Trump was going to remove the lunch counter from the Greensboro February 1st, 1960 sit-ins. I reached out to three of our extraordinary guests today to share with us the history of what happened on February 1st, 1960, why it's so pivotal in African American history. And they agreed to be on our program today. Over the weekend, in a stunning reversal, the President of the United States decided that the lunch counter can stay in the African American History Museum. But in the meantime, I'm so grateful that the son, one of my classmates, of Franklin McCain, one of the Greensboro Four, decided to be our guest. Frank McCain, President and CEO of the United Way of Greater Greensboro since 2023, has a long-standing commitment to the community. In his current role, he leads the organization in improving lives through strategic investments and impactful programs. Previously, Frank served as Vice President of Community Investments and Impact at UWGG, managing over $5 million annually. His career includes leadership roles at Parish Capital Advisors and wealth management positions at Merrill Lynch and UBS Payne Weber. He's active in Greensboro. He is part of the family of North Carolina A&T State University. Frank McCain, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Frank, are you there? Frank, I can hear you. Are you there? Also, one of our guests will be Earl Jones. Earl was a Democratic member of the North Carolina General Assembly representing the state's 60th House District, first elected in November 2002. He took office in 2003. In 2010, he was defeated in the Democratic primary by Marcus Brandon. His term ended in January 11. Earl Jones is the founder, along with Skip Alston, Melvin Skip Alston, Commissioner Alston, who is the co-founder of the International Civil Rights Museum in Greensboro, North Carolina. Without Skip's leadership, it would be impossible for us to have this monumental museum in Greensboro. I want to thank both Frank McCain and Earl and Melvin Skip Alston for being on our program. Skip, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. Frank, are you with us? I think Frank is having a technical difficulty. But Skip, share with us the significance of what happened on February 6th in 1960. February 1st.
When those four young men sat down from North Carolina A&T State University in February 1st, 1960 at the F.W. Woodworth Building, when they sat down, the rest of America stood up. They stood up for freedom, justice, and equality. And they've continued to stand up. And everyone else, when Martin Luther King Jr. Heard about the sit-ins in Greensboro, 2 weeks after that, he said when those four young men sat down at that lunch counter on February 1st, 1960, at Woodworth Lunch Counter, that was the start of the modern day civil rights movement. And that's what it was.
Frank, I figure based on the history of this, and Skip, that Brown versus the Board of Education was decided in 1954. Emmett Till was killed in 1955. Rosa Parks sat down on the bus in 1955, and she said that when asked the question, why did you sit down on the bus? Rosa Parks' response was, I couldn't get Emmett Till off my